back for a building permit. Tom, on February 3rd, 2023, issued a letter to them very specifically telling them to stop working. They needed a building permit and they needed approval of the Board of Appeals for the work that they were doing because they were enlarging a two-family structure, basically. Just looking at it myself, it looks maybe they were thinking of a three-family. We are not thinking of a three-family. We're content to have an apartment on the first floor and a second and third floor apartment. Therefore, there'll be no new units, no expansion of the use. Parking is as it is, and I think that's, Lou and I talked about that, but we don't need permission to continue to park for the same number of units we already had. And, you know, my clients have not done work without a permit. They came to me and we decided what to do, which was come back to the Board of Appeals. They very much would like not to have to rip the house apart again because work was done without a permit if the work is basically acceptable to you. Neighbors have expressed concerns. Several neighbors that I know of have expressed concerns, although I didn't see any written comments to the board to that effect, but we're aware of it. And my clients have tried to talk to the neighbors and take steps to address their concerns. One of their main concerns was the size and height of this stair tower in the back of the house. I have given Dan, I submitted, I believe, a photograph of it so you could see it, but it serves all three floors. Therefore, it's 3 stories tall and it's quite large. Since we now don't need a stair tower to go to the third floor, since it's part of the second floor apartment, our intention is, and our architect has redesigned this as a 2-story egress rather than the large 3-story egress. The other things just have to do with density, really, because people are afraid of parking, people are afraid of, you know, a building morphing into a multifamily house without permits. We're here to ask for the permits, and we've definitely applied only to renovate a 2-family structure, and there's no either expansion of the structure on the site or any request that a third apartment be allowed. So I did submit some paperwork. I did submit Tom St. Pierre's letter of February 3rd issuing the stop order. And he also took the time to mention, apparently there may have been some discussion, I've been involved in it with this property, about what its present use was or what its legal use was. But Tom quite firmly says that now, and in the file, something he wrote in 20 years ago, designated a 2-family house, not a 3. And you need to stop work and go to the Board of Appeals. So we're taking a 2 that's been worked on. We're trying to be proactive and compliant in asking for its use as a 2-family. And we're sensitive to the neighbors' concerns about that stair tower, and we're hoping we can put it in at the first and second level, but the whole top floor will be locked off. And I think in the architect's most recent site plans, the footprint of that staircase and renderings of that staircase are included. Mr. Fortuna, luckily for us, is also our architect, and he's here to join and answer design questions, and I think he wants to make some comments initially about the project. So if you, I'd see to him if he's
For the record, Darwin Fortuna here, 50 Grove Street, Salem, Mass, from Flow Design Architects, representing the owners on this. I can share my screen. Is that okay?
Yeah.
You see. Okay. All right. So, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So this is the site plan of the plot plan of the existing building as it is currently. There is a stair right here at the back that goes, as Bill Quinn mentioned, all the way through. When looking at this, we This is our site plan right here. Again, the stair goes all the way back like that. It was built without permits, as he mentioned. Some work was done inside. This is kind of the way it is right now. No doors, just a bunch of openings and framing inside each one of the spaces. It appears they were trying to do 3 units. The layouts are generally identical throughout the 3 floors. This is kind of what it looks like right now to outside. And this is what we're doing. So we decided that one, we didn't need the stairs going all the way through the 3 floors, as Bill mentioned. So we reconfigured them so that we can have proper parking here too, because the parking was a nightmare. Like, you couldn't really park 3 cars there. So we're making sure that you can park 3 cars without any problems, and the stairs now are more in line with that rear face of the building. This is the survey also matching that same layout. The inside, as you mentioned, we're going to have it as a 2-family, ground floor and a portion of the basement is part of the first unit, and second and third floor are part of the second unit. This is the layout, and this is the stairs. There's a rendering that better showcases how we're showing the exterior. This is exactly how we are showing it. It will be just an egress for the unit 2 with a small deck, and then an egress for the unit 1 at the bottom of that one. And that's it. It's a pretty straightforward project. Very simple, not trying to go beyond what's already there when it comes to use, not trying to change the look and feel of the neighborhood. More than what was changed, sadly, without the permit. I don't know how much was done, and I don't have the history of the whole project, but I'm glad it came to my door, and we're trying to get it straight and move forward. And that's it.
Great, thank you. So I did have questions about the previous condition of what was there before. We have a picture of the house before the modifications, I think in the tax records. So I see that the dormers, it looks like the dormers were narrower and were then expanded to be the full length of the house on both sides. Do we have any idea what the egress in the back looked like?
Now or before?
Before the tower was built.
I don't.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, I can't see anything either. I wish, but I don't see anything.
All right. That was the extent of the questions I have right now. Do any other members of the board want to ask?
Why are you asking for a variance for maximum height? This is 3 stories. It's not 2.5 stories.
No, but all height regulations can be allowed by special permit in the R1 or R for single or 2-family renovation, as long as you're not expanding beyond 2 families.
I get that, but there's nothing in the description of the application that's requesting a special permit on the height. You're only talking about, well, it's not talking about anything, actually. It's requesting a special permit for section 3.3.5. So it's not articulating any of the...
Well, I mean, there is a density table attached to our plans as filed. I believe that the height is not changing. It's a pre-existing building with a pre-existing height in feet. The only change is that, yes, it is definitely now 3 stories. We're not arguing about that. But what I'm saying is my understanding of how we apply 3.3.5 is whatever dimensional relief we need can be allowed by special permit. I don't think we really have to go through and articulate every element of it, but we did supply the plans to show all of the information about the existing and the proposed use. Just looking, the height is going to be 32.6 feet.
No, I'm not arguing about the height. I'm talking about the number of
stories. We have 2.5.
I would also say that
three.
in this particular application, because work has been done, it would have been much more reasonable to request what is not conforming from the original house to what has been done in the past and ask for a special permit specifically for the things that are now, that were a part of the house that is now being changed. So this is, I mean, where's the chart that shows that it's 2.5 stories allowed in R2 and this is 3? Is it on the document?
It's in the plans and on the density dimensional table with the plans.
Would you mind bringing that up, or somebody bringing that up so we can look at it?
Darwin, you want me to do it, or are you doing it?
I'm opening it right now. So on the existing, well,
Erwin, you're muted.
my bad. Here you go. Typically, that happens. So the existing site plan shows that, well, the thing is the existing is showing 3 stories, so that's that.
It's not 3 stories. It was a 2.5 story building. It has been made illegally into a 3 story.
Got it. Now I guess the surveyor wouldn't know how to treat it. Meaning, this is the table right here that our surveyor showed. So,
Right. So if we're going to not articulate it within the application, then the drawing should be correct. That it is not an existing 3 story building. We're giving, I assume, a special permit on what it was prior to the illegal additions that were being placed on it. So it was a 2.5 story building, so that your neighbors and the citizens of Salem can understand when you're applying for a special permit exactly what had been done to the building or what was presumed to be done in the future. Let's just assume that that's the case because it was a 2.5 story building. It is now a 3, and which you're asking for the application to acknowledge that it's 3. So
Hang on, Paul, so the height has not changed.
number of stories.
no, the height is the same, but the number of stories because of, a dormer doesn't consider it a story. So now, because of the extent of the dormer work that was done, they basically enlarged it so that now it's not 50% or not even up 10% of the floor below. It's just almost as big as the floor below, if not,
It's considered a story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, got it, I see.
And the ceiling heights, there are a bunch of things to know what the stories will be, but the ceiling heights now are taller throughout the whole thing. Okay, so that's it now, Bill. Sorry to interrupt you. So, Paul, if I understand it correctly, so existing 2.5 story that now we're proposing to convert into 3 because we don't know what happened. Like, we're actually coming here to fix what happened. Okay, got it.
Well, I think you're right, except you're asking for a special permit, assuming that what was done, you're inheriting and want to keep in the building. So although that was done without a permit and, that's not so great, but it's not your problem necessarily, but you're asking for relief and a special permit. So what I would like to have, if you're not going to articulate it within the description of the application and you're going to show it on the plans, that the plans reflect the accuracy of the existing condition and what we are applying special permit for. So in this particular case, Darkwing, you're right. It would be 2.5 stories was the existing before, and it's 3. It's not accepting what was done just simply as a 3-story building, because if it doesn't fit the character of the neighborhood, or it's whatever, that's exactly what we're applying the special permit request for. I'm not saying we're not doing that. I just would like to have things, especially when Attorney Quinn says it's on the plans. Well, it's not on the plans, at least not accurately. So if you wouldn't mind, changing it in front of us is nice, but
Instant gratification.
wonderful.
So to kind of add on to that, now looking at this existing column, obviously the lot size has not changed. I think it's worth, I would like to see everything in that existing column reflect what was on the property before the modifications. And I think we have some of that data in the property card. I know those aren't always the most accurate, but we have a picture of the old dormers. There's some images that show what the back, at least deck, looked like. I assume there was some sort of means of egress in the back. So you can kind of, you might not have the exact images of what it was previously, but I think I would like to have like the most accurate representation that we can so that we know what we're approving.
It might make sense to have 3 columns, like pre-2023, and then existing, because it is existing at 3 right now.
Mhm.
And that kind of shows like the current owner did not make this happen. The current owner is trying to bring it into compliance, and then proposed 3. Just so that like it's clear that the current owner is just trying to fix the situation that and pre-2023, here's how it started. I mean, I think that would be helpful because it is not, the existing is not actually 2.5.
Yeah, I think that would be make that a lot more clear.
I think I can go either way because I think I understand what Paul's saying. We assume what exists doesn't exist. We're asking for relief to do something that was done illegally. It shouldn't be there. So now the public would know this is a 2.5 story, and we're coming here to ask you to provide the relief so that it is a 3 story. Because technically,
Yeah.
if the building official wanted to enforce it, would say demo the whole thing. Really,
Right,
go back to what it was because it's illegal. You should not have it. Now, to have it, you have to get the relief. That's why we're here. So instead of going to the extra, like if this was to be denied, God forbid it doesn't happen, we will have to demo that whole dormer and put it back.
Yeah, I think what Alan's suggesting is just very simply like, we're talking about 3 different states of this building. What was there before the modifications were done? What was there when your client purchased the property, which includes the work that was not permitted, and what you're trying to do. And having like a very clear outline of what exactly happened in each state would make it very easy for us to move forward.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
That makes sense. I did submit, and I'll submit some more streetscape photos, and I think you'll see that many buildings in this neighborhood up and down the street have dormers of one sort or another.
Mhm.
Most of them are smaller than this. I'm not sure all of them are smaller than this, but looking down, it's just like a hedgerow of buildings that are all the same height, with or without dormers, and this still fits right in the streetscape with its abutters and its neighbors across the street.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that it's going to be 3 stories, or that if you approve it, it will be 3 stories, is not going to change really. I don't think the impact on the height of the building in any real way, because it's going to be the same exact height as its neighbors, as it is now and as it was before.
And that would be a great discussion to have at the next meeting when the proper documentation for record is submitted.
Right.
So I do want to, we have some hands raised, so I wanted to ask other members of the board if you have any comments or questions before we go to public comment.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think, like, as the petition stand, like, the proposed building, I don't have any bad feelings about it. I think it seems totally reasonable. It's just a matter of clarification of what was there, like what we're actually seeking relief from. So I think this proposal seems fine. We just need to do some clarification on it.
Okay.
I just have a question about the stairs going up to the 3rd floor. So if there are bedrooms on the 3rd floor, is there like a requirement about having 2 sets of stairs? Because I know you said you would propose not having them go all the way to the 3rd floor.
No, so in the I guess this is the residential. In the international residential code, you are required to have 2 means of egress from every dwelling unit. So in this case, since we only have 2 dwelling units, they each need to have 2 means of egress. And the 1st floor will have, access to the rear. Actually, going back, access to the rear egress, access to the front egress. Great. Then the 2nd unit goes upstairs, and it has access at the 1st level of the 2nd unit, which is the 2nd floor, to the rear and to the front. So they both have access to 2 means of egress. The 3rd only has bedrooms, and bedrooms are required to have an egress opening as described in the International Residential Code, not necessarily two ways of getting out of it by virtue of a means of egress. It's just an egress opening, and it's generally for, they can open the windows and get out, or a firefighter can open the windows and get in. Not necessarily two egresses from the bedroom, because the dwelling itself does have two means of egress. I hope that
And
makes
is
sense.
in the current, just to double check, the current stair tower in the back does have all three, and you are proposing to take the top part out, so it only goes to 2 floors.
Yeah, the current layout right now, as it is, goes all the way through, and it protrudes back more. In fact, it actually sits on the setbacks. That part, we're rotating it around to actually be more modest and to allow the parking to work, because it doesn't work right now. You wouldn't be able to have 3 cars there. So it is, by all means, a huge improvement on the look and feel, the parking requirements, and it's less detrimental than what they did. Meaning, like, look, it's sitting right there. Like,
Yeah,
right
it's so, I mean, they're clearly going for three units here.
Yep. So that's what we're doing there. So that's it now. So I want to recap real quick. So now we need 3 tables. Pre-2023-2024 conditions, current conditions, proposed conditions. So that
Yeah,
we
and
kind of...
any photos you have or whatever of the very previous conditions of the house before the modifications of the previous owner.
So that will clearly, so that clearly everybody can understand what is different from what we had, what we have now, and what we will have, so that there is no miscommunication for what we're requesting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds right to me. All right, can we, Dan, can we open up some public comment? We have 2 hands raised.
Andrew Grills, I'm going to give you permission to talk. You just have to state your full name and address for the record and unmute yourself.
You hear me there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Thank you.
You're kind of breaking up.
It's Andrew Grills. We're at 21 Nursery Street. We're the abutters to the right of the building, basically. To give you some information, the history of the property. The floor was put in, I think, back in the 70s when kids. But it was an in-law suite that was built for the previous tenant's brother, when the whole family lived there, as a bachelor pad, basically. It had a small kitchenette, a bathroom, and a wood-burning stove, in fact. The dormer ran about half the length of the property, but I have no idea what kind of approvals were done back in the 70s to accomplish it. It did not look original to the property or anything like that. It's never really melded. I did want to say that I've seen Mr. Fortuna's plans for the exterior and the plans. I like them. I really like the idea of what he's done to the property. I don't have a problem with the expanded dormer, making it officially a 3-story property. It looks better than it has for the last year. It's been sitting empty and unclad, with the flapping in the breeze and pieces of the molding falling on my car. So I am really enthusiastic about the idea of getting this property actually put back together and having neighbors again. As far as the deck on the 3rd floor, speaking to the construction workers who were here with the previous contractors, the 3rd floor deck was supposed to be the entrance to a 3rd apartment. That's why it's there. That's why it was so big. I am much happier with the scaled down version in the current plans. Originally, there were 2 small porches to the back of the building. The 2nd floor was a balcony porch with no access to the ground level either. I think that's about all I had at the moment there.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
I have a Dave here. Dave, I'm going to give you permission to talk. You just need to state your full name and address for the record and unmute yourself.
Okay, my name is Dave Titus. We live at 53 Appleton Street. Property abuts the property that we're speaking about here on Fairmount Street, our backyard to their backyard. We step out our back door every day. We see the 3-tower staircase, so greatly appreciate the fact that you're going to take a level off of that. That'll be great. And as far as those dormers, we have no issues with that whatsoever. You got to deal with the hand you were dealt, and no problem with that. My only concern a little bit, I'll be honest with you, is the parking in the back. As you know, Appleton Street, or my property, sits about 12 feet below this property. And we've had some other work done on Fairmount Street previously, and people have hot topped the back. And when we have heavy rain, the runoff to the people on Appleton Street is tremendous, and it floods our yards. So is there something that, whether it's graded or whether there's some sort of a curbing or something that can be put on the property line right there? And it looks like the parking is sitting like right on the fence of the property line. Not sure if there's any codes on that also.
All right. Thank you.
I can say something about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, I can design it so that we try to mitigate some of the water issues by using pavers, and we do have some more room to the right. We just didn't want to be too close to the stairs, for obvious reasons. You don't want to hit the stairs and break it down. But we do have some room there to stay in it, and maybe using pavers and mitigating that location there. We can work with that. We can find solutions for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's talking about the grading and the elevations and getting that information and seeing how you are working through that would be great to see.
Do you want to add that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if there's any codes of how close they can be to the property line with the parking.
I think it's only a foot or so. I have to go double check, but there is.
Okay, that's fine. Again, anything we can do to mitigate water runoff onto our property would be greatly appreciated.
So, just to clarify, so are you saying that at the property line, you're how many feet below?
It's 10 to 12 feet below.
And is there a retaining wall?
Well, Nursery Street runs downhill, Fairmount comes off, and then there's Appleton.
But there's no retaining wall at the end.
There's a retaining wall on our property, and then there's some vegetation that we have that goes up to the property line from there.
But there's no retaining wall on their property.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no retaining wall on their property.
It's yours. It's your retaining wall?
Yeah, there's a retaining wall that starts
4 or 5 feet down.
Yeah, I'd say, well, it actually starts at the street level on Nursery, and then as you go further up Appleton Street you go, the higher the retaining wall becomes.
Okay.
Is that your patio I see at the back there?
Part of the retaining wall is probably about 4 feet.
So is that what I'm seeing? Like a small little shed in a patio area? Is that
that shed right there actually belongs to our neighbors on the other side of us.
Mm-hmm.
Our property is, from you looking at that shed, goes more to the more further down the other way.
Okay, I think I see it now. Yeah.
Right. So I do. I think next we should just talk about how you're going to mitigate some of the runoff off. I assume that this intends to be all asphalt in the back.
That's what we have it right now as.
So I think mitigating some of that runoff, either in not engineering, but just stated in your plans in some way, or will.
I was going to say we could do a
We can
special.
always do a condition. Yeah, we can always do a special condition that we work with the engineering department to make sure that there aren't negative impact on your neighbor on the.
So I don't see any written comment here. So I think I don't think there's any more hands raised, so I think that's the end of our commentary for today.
I just want to ask, will the building be condos or apartments?
So right now we're looking at it as condos.
So Alan, just for the record, we can definitely talk about that, but that's not something that we have purview over per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What other questions does the board have before we take our next steps here?
I don't have any further questions. I think we got a lot of great information from the neighbors. So thank you guys for weighing in. I think like what's been said before, I think we just need a little bit more clarification on the prior condition up to the condition that's being proposed to help us make a decision.
We'll try and do that. I just want you to know that the thing was gutted when my clients bought it. It was down to the studs.
Understood. It's just I guess my thought is I want to look at this as if we are taking it from the existing to like the prior existing. Like what I care about is the change from what was there before to what's being proposed now. I almost don't care what is there currently. I want to know the previous condition to the proposed condition, because that's sort of what we are supposed to be weighing in on.
Right, right. Exactly.
Now we do have. I was gonna say we do. I'm just trying to also figure out how can I accurately draw something that I don't have. So I'm gonna have to use pictures and all that stuff, and I'll have to put a big disclaimer that hey, this may be a couple of feet less or more, because the front is generally it's gonna remain the same, but the dormers are either side, but the left and right is what really changes. How big the dormer was versus how it is, and this stair, I don't know. I have nothing. We'll have to dig into the records and see was it a three-story or was it a one-story.
You got some public commentary that probably has photos of the existing conditions and outside.
And I am almost less concerned with you drawing it, just than providing the kind of the basic information that we need in terms of the zoning decision. Like Paul was saying, the 2.5 stories going to 3. If any setbacks, if we have any information on that, like what they were to what they're going to. It's staying as a 2-family, so I don't think that's even an issue. So I think it's really just the stories, the number of stories. I guess as much information as you can provide on what was there before, and like photos, anything like that. But I'm less concerned about the drawings of it than just the information, so we can make that decision.
So Google Maps currently show the building prior to the renovations or whatever.
Yeah, it does. That's what I was showing. This is what it looked like prior to the renovations.
Yeah, so there's information out there. And again, I think Hannah's right on target. I really don't care what happened illegally. I really do care what happens between the existing conditions prior to that and what you're proposing, that we can evaluate all of the work criteria for special permit on that basis.
This is all really good feedback. And I'm gonna get to see that Salem little Dominican project next month. So I'm looking forward to that one.
To the chair.
Yes.
I was just looking, it's 2 feet from the lot lines for parking.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
Good to have. All right, so am I hearing that you would like to continue until the March meeting?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I will entertain a motion to continue this until March 20th.
I can make a motion, I think.
Yeah, go for it.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the petition of 28 Fairmount Street LLC at 28 Fairmount Street for special permit per section 335, non-conforming single and 2-family structures to the March 20th meeting.
March 20, 2024 meeting of the Board of Appeals.
2024 of the zoning board of appeals.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote, Nina Vaden,
In favor?
Paul Pacheco,
Favor?
Anna Ostoff,
In favor.
Ellen Simpson.
In favor.
Okay, request to continue passes.
All right, we will see you next time.
Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Yep.
You too.
Thank you, Darwin. Thank you, Attorney Quinn.